welcome to Love is Crafting.
Love is crafting.
I'm Tila.
And I'm Stanton.
And if you're new to our channel, thanks for checking us out. And if you're returning, thank you for the support.
What we do here on this channel, we teach you how to do crafts and DIY projects that are real, but not necessarily perfect, because love isn't perfect.
Today we will be taking this Epson ecotank 2803 printer and making it into a sublimation printer.
Now, we've been looking into sublimation printers and they are crazy expensive, at least for our budget. But we've heard great things about this Epson ecotank printer being converted to a sublimation printer. So we're gonna check that out and see how it goes.
But before we get into it, make sure you like,
comment,
and subscribe.
Love is crafting.
Love is crafting. All right, here we go. So we have our ecotank 2803 by Epson. We also have our sublimation paper that we will be using. And we have our ink here that we did purchase from Amazon. Printer's Jack, that's the brand. And we also have containers to put the Epson ink into, along with gloves so we don't get ink all over the place, and a box cutter to open up the box. So, you want to do the honors?
Sure. Let's do it. First things first, we got a packet with a CD and some directions. And then we have
the printer, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, and styrofoam, which I hate because it gets everywhere. Those tiny little pieces. All right, there we go. Printer
with a lot of blue tape.
All right, let's take it off. Okay, so I think we got all the tape. That's a good thing. So now we are going to...
Ink should be in here.
Ink was in the box. So with these ink cartridges, they are proprietary and the lids are very specific to this machine.
Now, just to let you guys know, to give you an update, this ink is not sublimation ink, and you want to make sure you do not put this ink in your printer at all whatsoever, no matter what.
Yeah, because once you get regular ink in it, you have to like clean the printer to get all that ink out, and that is what is the most complicated thing ever.
Which is also why you probably don't want to go with a used Epson printer, because obviously they are probably using it like an ecotank printer, like a standard ecotank printer, and you will spend more time, if time is money, you will spend more time cleaning out your printer than the amount you would save by just buying it brand new.
And here's the funny thing, you know how we are taught when we are in school that primary colors are red, yellow, and blue? All of that's lies. As an adult, I found out they lied to us. Those are not the primary colors. What are they?
Well, they are yellow, they had it right, cyan, and magenta.
So, who knew?
They were close, but not close enough. So,
yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off by taking the ink and filling it. We're gonna transfer the regular printing ink into our little containers. So I don't know if I'm gonna have the strength to get this off. So you're gonna have to open these. We probably should put the gloves on.
I knew they were here for some reason.
I know. Do you think you're gonna be able to pour that in? Or do we need to make like some type of funnel or something?
Well, that is a trick question, because what I'm going to say is neither one, because until I'm halfway through.
Okay, but I really, really, really don't want you to get ink all over the place.
All right, so first is the yellow.
Okay, so he did that pretty well, guys. He did that pretty well. Okay, just for the sake of being like overly cautious, we will clean out those tanks, those containers with the ink so that we don't mix inks. You guys ever like think like in your head like, oh my gosh, I need to be so careful because if I spill this, it's gonna get everywhere? Like I just had a vision in my head of me spilling that blue ink everywhere.
And it's dark blue with a lot of deep ink.
And that would be crazy. All right, so we need to get one more container so we can do the black. All right, so we are here and we are cleaning out our containers. So we decided to do it this way instead of just using the caps and pouring in the ink. I wouldn't do that. I don't think it needs soap. I just think the ink needs to be rinsed out. Because next time we buy more ink, all we'll have to do is fill up our container and we won't have to do this process again. And that way we already have some place to put our regular ink in. I think that's good. And so you also have to make sure that you're keeping each color lid with the color bottle because we don't want to mix up the ink when we transfer in the new ink. Okay, so we cleaned out the bottles and now we are just going to use a heat gun and try to dry them a little bit faster because, you know, I don't have any patience, so.
Heat gun is a impatient person's tool of choice.
Yes. I honestly think that this is good to go. There's no more water here. I know. Sorry for the noise, that's pretty loud. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take the black ink and squeeze it into the bottle.
You might want to put some gloves on.
That is a very good point. Or how about I just have you put the ink in there since I don't have any gloves on.
Maybe that's some gloves.
No, you can do it. Actually, no, I'll do it without gloves. I'm not gonna.
Gangster.
All I'm gonna do is squeeze it in there. I'm not gonna.
Don't drip any on the printer. You have to put off the top. or anything.
Oh, ha ha ha. Okay, so you do this part. So I'm sure that there is, here, you can do that. And so what I'm doing is I'm just squeezing the ink into the bottle, and this is super easy.
Yeah, I don't know why I expected ink to be thick, like, you know, molasses or something, but it's really just like water.
It is pretty liquidy. Okay, this one is full, so I am going to set that down here oh so carefully. Put the lid back on here, and again, make sure that when you're using the correct lid to go to the bottle, because each lid is different.
There's shapes on the top of each of these lids that correspond with the color that's supposed to go into the printer. So one complete.
So we're gonna do the same thing with the blue, and you're gonna take off the packaging oh so very nicely, like you have been, sir. All right, hit this one with the heat gun because there's a little bit of water in it, but not too much. Since we have them later on, let's do all of them at once. Did you just put that in your face?
I wondered if it smelled.
Did you just break it? You just broke it. Well, that's awkward. He broke the heat gun. So apparently something is wrong with our heat gun. Okay, so we're back. Our heat gun died, and then somehow it came back to life, and we went on with the process. However, I forgot to press record. So, you know, hey, we're not perfect, we're real, like we said.
It happens.
It happens. So, the bottles were completely dry, but we decided to start over, and we put the ink back into the bottle.
It's for you,
for you guys,
for content.
So we can go ahead and do it. And we'll get to what happened over here in a second. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your clean, empty bottle, and you're going to take the lid off of the sublimation ink.
And also underneath the main lid, there is usually a foil piece that's there. We've already cut all of those from all of our colors.
So we're just going to squeeze in the ink into the old bottles. And when you're doing this, be careful, you don't want to make a mess. We are working on top of our brand new printer. Probably not a good idea, but hey, we're here and we're doing it. Okay, so one of these printer jacks fills up one of these Epsons pretty much all the way to the top. So it's pretty good, pretty good.
A little bit left.
Yeah, just a little bit left. So there we go. And remember we were telling you guys about me not pressing record? Well, we didn't realize we weren't recording until we had filled up the black. So this is where it is. If you can tell, it's pretty empty and the tank is full there at the bottom. So
I'm going to take this out. I guess what we could do now is take the rest of the printer jack and put it inside of this.
yeah, we can do that so that we don't have to keep the printer jack containers anymore. We can be done with those. We can do it later. I mean, we don't have to do it right now.
Okay.
Let's just do it later. And next, what's the next color? Oh, and then we want to go ahead and put this little tab back on. And what is the next color, Stanton?
It is, after black, you have yellow. These are all listed here. So yellow is next.
All right, be careful with this one because
There's these blue tabs here that you just lift up and should be good to go.
I don't know how to take this off, so I'm gonna leave that to you.
Just spin it.
Yeah, but when I do that, oh. All right, well that works. Yeah, no, I'm gonna let you do this because, you know, I don't want to mess up, and so when I'm nervous to do anything, I handle it over to the big guns over here.
It's just so that if I mess up, she can yell at me without having to yell at herself.
Totally not true. Not true at all whatsoever.
So you can see the tank should be filling up.
And I expected this ink to be like extremely thick, like syrup, but it's like water. Flows very easily. Sounds like it's done.
It looks done too.
Done. Close it back. Put on the cap. Then they have
Let's give you guys a closer look.
the black, yellow, magenta is next, right?
Yep, magenta. And this is what the inside looks like. Oh, look, hey, it's labeled back here as well. But we were at a different angle so we could see it.
Perspective.
And then he's just gonna flip it.
Sometimes I'm slightly better at finding the hole, you know.
Funny guy, funny guy. He has jokes. Okay, so we got our tanks filled, and so now we have our handy dandy instruction guide here, and it says to download the app, which we did, and then it says to plug in the printer to the power source. So we're gonna plug that in. Actually, it said to do that before we filled the tank, but
Rebels without a cause.
listen, this is what I said. Who uses instruction manuals? Like, who does that? You try to figure it out and then you go back to the instructions. So he's gonna plug that in, and that just gets plugged into the back of the machine. Okay. And then it says turn it on. So there's a power button in actually the power button in the front. Okay, so you turned it on, perfect. And now it says to launch our app. So we're gonna launch the app and see what happens. We have,
Well, it has some settings. Tells me to go through. It's currently the first one looks like language settings. So it's automatically on English. So we're gonna press OK. It says finish setup using Epson Smart Panel app. And we're gonna say yes. And it says scan to install the app, which we've already installed on our iPad.
okay, so we went over to the app to start to install the printer, and it comes up with some privacy agreements. Of course, you have to agree, otherwise you can't go on. And then it goes into this searching for product, and it says that you have to enable it to show your location. And I was really confused on this part, like, why does my printer need to know my location? But you have to do that in order to finish the setup. So this is us just trying to figure out how to do it, and I was just looking around like, I don't get what's happening. And then I figured out that I had to put my location on in order to do that. So you just go to your settings on your app, and you want to go to, I think I ended up finding it at privacy. Yeah, it was in privacy, and then you go to location services, and then you find the Epson Smart Panel app there. And I always do use only use my location while we're using the app. Next, it asks us how we want to connect our printer. If you want to connect it directly to the Wi-Fi network or connect it to a product that connects to the Wi-Fi. And we chose to connect it directly to the Wi-Fi, which was this first option. From here, it takes us to another screen where you get walked through step by step on how to set up the printer. So you have to enable your Bluetooth settings. And then it is like, okay, are you going to do Bluetooth? Or are you going to use a USB cable? Of course, we're doing everything wireless. So it's searching for the product, and it comes up, and you have to select your product. And that was our our 2800 series, so we knew that was the right product. And then it tells you to go ahead and install the ink. Because we already installed the ink, I was able to just kind of click through it and not pay too much attention to this. But this is where it walks you through step by step on how to install the ink, which was pretty awesome. Again, this is walking you through step by step on how to install the ink to the printer. So it's pretty foolproof if you're uncomfortable or nervous about doing it. The directions are very clear and very simple how to go each step. So you got this, you can do it. I love that Epson has this with pictures and everything, so it's awesome. And then it tells you, hey, are the tanks full? And then it tells you to close the cover. It tells you every single detail that you need to do. And then it asks you again, are all the inks in the tank filled with ink? And you're like, yeah. Okay, and then it asks you, hey, do you want to start the ink initialization process? And you're like, yeah, let's go ahead and get it going. And then it tells you that it's going to take about 11 minutes to complete, and you need to allow it on the next screen, and so you can get a notification when it's gone. And while it's doing its thing, you do not want to turn off the power or open the scanner button. This is what the printer screen looked like when we were doing the whole process, and we did time it. It did take about 11 minutes, so it's pretty accurate.
Now here comes the fun part that everybody loves when setting up a new printer, right? We have to align the print head to get the best quality. And this process was a little bit of a struggle for us, so we're gonna just kind of talk you through it just in case you have some of the same issues we had. The initial setup was adjusted automatically by the printer, so we didn't have anything to do, but we then had to print some test papers. Of course, we just loaded this in with the standard printer paper. We didn't want to use the sublimation printer paper because why waste it? We just have a lot of regular printer paper, so we decided to use that. Now, this was the first sheet that came out of the printer. You see it has one area for the black, one for yellow, magenta, and cyan, plus a little bit of information about the model and serial numbers of the actual printer that we have. Now this is a better view of loading the tray. As you see, the gray part is there. We move out the blue sections to fit the paper in, and then close it into the desired size or the size of our actual piece of paper. We didn't see any missing segments in our initial print piece, so we decided to continue that. And then it started printing our next segments of what we need to look out for. Now, this is the part where we had some struggles with. The screen says, look at the printout and choose boxes with the least lines. On the next screen, select the number. So we press OK to proceed, and then we get this screen, and we are confused. So we look at the sheet of paper. There's a column of numbers and a row of numbers. So what you want to do is look for the best image in each of the rows. So the number 1 with the #1 would be the first row that you're looking at, which is all the blacks. In this case, I believe we chose number 3 to be the best because it came out with the least amount of lines. We continued this throughout the rest of the paper. After pressing 3, we went through maybe 4, then 5. All around that 3, 4, 5 range were the best choices and the colors that came out the best. The final portion of the process was this printout of rectangles. The goal with this one was to get the rectangles as close as possible without overlapping. For us, it was the fourth one. All right, so we have our Epson 2803 ecotank printer fully converted to the sublimation printer layout. We did have a little bit of issues. It was a little bit complicated getting the directions through on the nozzle setup. So that took a little bit of exploration, but we found out how to do that. We also have a lot of additional regular printer ink left over, so make sure you leave it in a comment on any ideas you have to do with this. Maybe we'll feature that in a video on our channel, but keep looking because the next video on our channel should be us taking this out for a spin ride with some sublimation projects, and we'll see how it goes.